What's the first one that you want to go with? What's a player, a game, something that you want to shout out?
I'm going to just give the most impressive. The team that showed up week 1, laid down the hammer, and said, hey, we're still the class of the AFC, like we've been the last 3 years. It's Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs came out and just 0.35 EPA per play for the game. 0.385 EPA per play for the game. Only 3 other teams were above 0.1. They just had everything they wanted. At one point, they had more touchdowns than third down attempts because they had scored at will so easily on this Arizona Cardinals defense and then shut down Kyler Murray and company. Like, there was nothing that they could not do on the day. Pretty much just a quintessential Chiefs performance to say, playoff team we're facing, a team that, has playoff, and they just laid the boom. Not even a close game, start to finish.
We all love new, right? I think that we love that with rookies. We love that with new additions. We love that with everything. And so with the Chiefs being as dominant as they have been since it feels like 2018, 2019, I feel like everybody was like, okay, maybe the Chargers will pass them up. Like, this is the Bills year,
right?
Talking about Packers, Bucks, whatever. And everybody's trying to get over talking about the Chiefs. You better keep them at the forefront of your brain when you're talking about the best teams in the NFL, because they absolutely put it on display there. Again, no Tyreek Hill, no problem. It felt like Mahomes is a different beast. He really is. He's going to be a guy who can show up and win you double-digit games every single year.
And they had to kind of piece it together in terms of he's actually working the offense now far more so than he did last season, when it was just Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, where are those two guys locking in, not looking anywhere else. He's spread the ball around as much, probably more so than he did in any single game we saw last season.
All right, so my first superlative, a little bit of an award here as well, I called it the price just went up, and this is the Lamar Jackson. I'm giving it to Lamar Jackson because after an offseason of how much money are you going to pay this guy? Are they going to even be able to get to a deal? How much guarantees can he get? You should pay him no matter what. All of this talk about contract and value and worth. Lamar Jackson just goes out and absolutely dominates week 1 against the New York Jets. Okay, not the best competition in the world, but still, you look at the way the Ravens played, fully in control at all times. 80.9 initial PFF grade, 17 for 30 passing the ball, over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. But he also had an adjusted completion percentage of about 70-75%. And I don't know what the final number ended up coming out to, but it was somewhere around 70-75%, and that's if you account for drops. So this dude, the deep Rashad Bateman pass was fantastic. 2 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. And the thing that stood out the most and the biggest statement for the price just went up is what was the talk about Lamar Jackson? He's going to get hurt. He's too much of a rushing threat. You can't let him sit in the pocket and let him try to be a traditional quarterback. He had 17 rushing yards, Mike. And this team was so in control that they took their foot off the gas in the third quarter because they didn't really need to put their pedal to the metal anymore.
I will say, though, I'm not sure the price goes up until Lamar does it in the playoffs. I think he can do whatever he wants in the regular season.
Against bad teams?
Exactly.
Right.
He can do whatever he wants against a team like the Jets, who at this point in time, with Joe Flacco and a quarterback, is like right in the mix for one of the worst teams in the NFL. It has to be. But it's going to make him more money when he does it against the best of the best in the NFL, because that's been the knock, right? Until you disprove the narrative, I don't think the Ravens are going to budge on any sort of contract negotiation.
I thought about this in the middle of the game, and Lamar would never do this, but what if Lamar was just like, yeah, I'm out, actually, I'm a holdout now. Just like comes in, plays one game, is absolutely on fire, and then just goes, nope, I'm holding out. That's how you use leverage. He'd never do that. I don't think he'd ever do that.
That would give you leverage. That would also alienate you to a degree for a lot of teams. So I don't know if a lot of other teams around the league
he would never do that. Yeah. But I thought about it. I was like, damn, how quickly would the Ravens be like, all right, fine, take it, take whatever you want. All right, what's the next superlative you got here?
My next superlative, I'm going to go the best rookie performance I saw from over.
Oh, let's hear it.
Obviously, being a draft analyst here, I always care about that sort of perspective. So I'm going to go with Sauce Gardner, who allowed 1 catch on 2 targets for 8 yards in his debut. They even moved him in on third downs to go up against Mark Andrews one-on-one a few different times. Held his own in those matchups. He is a guy that you can, like they were in college, like he was in college at Cincinnati, rely on to shut down his side of the football field. On his side, not have to worry about it. I thought Quentin Williams actually looked good for the Jets too. Like, there's some reason to be excited for them, but there's still a roster with a number of holes to where they got to play better than that. The rest of the roster has to play better than that, because Sauce Gardner held his end of the bargain.
Dude, he was great. I mean, he is looking. I mean, Stingley had some great plays as well. Not to kind of change the subject to a different player, but like this cornerback class, highly touted going into it. And those top two guys played very, very well in their first games.
McDuffie got hurt. And his Kyrie Hill played well too. So
yeah,
little trio for shots. So.
No, I love it. I love to see Sauce playing so well. This is a player who you wondered if his style was going to be able to come into the NFL right away and be successful, right? Because it's aggressive, it's a man coverage thing. The receivers get better, the passing games overall in the NFL get better, and it's just hard to be that kind of a corner and succeed right away.
And that pass breakup, that's him bailing. That was cover 3, I want to say. He was backside on a crosser, cuts right underneath the route, breaks it up. It was a great play.
My next superlative, it's called the still snatch and ankle superlative, and it is Davante Adams. Everybody saw the play where he absolutely cooked Asante Samuel with his route running master class that he always does, and as if there was any doubt that Davante Adams is still going to be good with the Raiders. Just the performance that he put on was incredible. Again, it felt like Michael Thomas when Derek Carr the most. He was constantly looking to Davante Adams' way, especially when the game was kind of on the line. They needed points in that second half. That's when Davante really shined the most. And different quarterback, doesn't matter. Different offense, doesn't matter. They're just going to go to Davante Adams early and often. He was still the Davante Adams that we absolutely remembered. This catch that he had for this touchdown was absolutely unbelievable. Truly put it to the place where we say this all the time, only the receiver can go get it. That was literally only where Davante Adams could go get it. That's the snatch and ankles is the play that you see on the screen there, which is just absolutely filthy from Davante. So same old Davante Adams.
Yeah, there have been receivers in Packers past that you've worried about, like, oh, if they go somewhere else, are they going to produce? You know, if they don't have Aaron Rodgers throwing to him, if they don't have Brett Favre throwing to him. Davante was not one of those guys. I'll say that for a fact. He was never thought of as one of those guys because he could always do it one-on-one on his own. That is why he is, considered by many of the best receivers.
All right, who you got? Who you got next?
My next superlative is the player you'd least like to hold your baby.
Okay.
And this one's a tie.
Okay.
Between James Cook. Yikes, I don't know how I said that. James Cook, the Buffalo Bills running back who fumbled on his only touch.
That's not great.
On Thursday night.
Yep.
And Christian Watson, who dropped the bomb on the very first target he saw in the NFL that would have been probably like an 80-yard score, but it went through his hands.
Just went through his hands, too.
Just went so bad through his hands. And he, we said it, 12.9% drop rate in college, the highest of anyone in that draft class that was drafted. That's kind of the thing with Christian Watson. He's going to be the boomer bust guy. And, well, week 1 was a little busty.
I feel like sometimes drops are, I don't want to say like circumstantial, but sometimes you can look past drops.
Yes,
but was he an instance coming out of school where you were like, no, this is an issue?
It was that. It was the tracking. Like, he would track balls down the football field poorly on a fairly consistent basis. That wasn't the first time. He said, after the game, he said, I catch that ball. I would have told you 100 times out of 100 before I dropped that. Well, there's tape going back to North Dakota State that would suggest differently because he's done that a few times in his career.
Yeah.
And so it's a somewhat common theme that is not going to ingratiate yourself to Aaron Rodgers here.
My last superlative that I'll talk about here, Patrick Mahomes is still good award, is going to Patrick Mahomes because it's
not Josh Allen?
No, the Patrick Mahomes is still good award is actually going to go to Patrick Mahomes and not Josh Allen. It was close. It was close, actually. Would have been a little bit awkward, but it was close. No, we already touched on it a little bit. Patrick Mahomes was just so fantastic. Tyreek Hill not in the picture anymore, but he was still able to feed Travis Kelce actually a lot more than I thought that he was going to, because I felt as though the Arizona Cardinals I love this meme. I felt like the Arizona Cardinals would have been best equipped as you can to cover Travis Kelce because they have Budda Baker, because they were playing Isaiah Simmons in a little bit more of that star role this year, which we heard about all throughout the preseason. So it's like, okay, maybe they can allocate their best defensive resources to Travis Kelce, which will force them to kind of go elsewhere with the ball. But Kelce had another monster day again, and it just felt like no matter what the Cardinals were doing, they had any answer for how Patrick Mahomes could get his guys the ball. So
yeah, drafting 2 first-round linebackers back-to-back with a top 10 pick and then the 16th overall pick, to then not be able to stop a nosebleed at tight end, go for over 100 yards, and Travis Kelce did. It's not great. It's not great. Things aren't great in Arizona. Things are not going great.